Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth of Motor City Madmouth. What a great night we're going to have. Lots of good things to talk about. But before I go any deeper than that, I want to let everybody know that the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. One guy I'm waiting to get on here is James Burgess. There'll be more like him. I'm looking forward to you getting on here, James. You're listening. Also, send your topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and eventually Instagram. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes and is our producer. I have a book out there called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, available on Kindle and Amazon, mainly old school media versus new school media. Another partner we have is called NGBN TV. Will launch on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and mobile devices. It will be on 85% of the homes in the United States and Canada and 4.1 billion mobile devices. The Sports Exchange and Pundits Pundit will be on NGBN TV. If other shows eventually get on there, we will give you that notice. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the crew. Then I want to get into some sports updates, and then we'll get to the topics. All right, making a appearance, we like to have him on from time to time, is Denzel Snipes. Here's Denzel.
Hey, what's going on? Glad to be back on the Sports Exchange. And also, just earlier tonight, we had a great NFL divisional round episode of The Gauntlet Presents Picked Off. So follow James Tatum 12 on YouTube, as well as myself on YouTube at Denzel Snipes 13. Also follow me on Twitch at, it's right there, Denzel Sniper 13.
All right. And we have Jacob Christner, everybody's favorite pundit, but tonight he has to pretend that he knows a little bit more about sports than just arguing with everybody and ranting.
Yeah, well, I do, but oh well. No, no show tonight other than this one. Tomorrow on Pundits Pundit, got 3 great topics going on for that thing. I'm also starting to get a lot more people on TikTok. I'm getting some people, I'm getting the likes, and I've got a TikTok live now, so feel free to go watch as things are going well.
And JB Ellis, my partner in crime. We're trying to do a lot of good things together. Glad to have you back, Mr. Ellis.
How's it going? Exciting times. NGBN's like less than 2 weeks away from launching. Sideline Sports, the South Florida Tribune, Pundits Pundit, the Sports Exchange, the Gauntlet, all going to be on there. Got some great stuff happening. Going to be out in Vegas in a few weeks to cover the Super Bowl. A lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, I had the good pleasure of being on a show with Ian Hill today where he interviewed the Motor City Madmouth. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Ian says to me on the show, do you ever take any breaths? And I said, no, but at least I know I'm firing all cylinders. I didn't have as much caffeine in my system then. Can only imagine what it would have been like as we go later in the day. But anyways, Ian, shout out to you. I'll enjoy being on your show and looking forward to many good things with NGBN TV. Last but not least, a guy that's been on a lot of shows with me for the better part of 40 years, Mr. George Eichhorn.
Yeah, good to be on here. Everybody's excited in Michigan, of course. The Wolverines and the Lions, baby.
All right. Well, you know what? Before I go into the topics, I want to talk about a couple of headlines. Unfortunately, the first one I have isn't one that we really feel very good about, but as part of our industry, we have to talk about everything. Warriors assistant coach Dejanmilojevic, 46, has passed away after suffering a heart attack at a private team dinner. He won a championship in 2022. I believe the Utah Jazz and the Warriors game has been postponed to a later date. Also, this may not be good news for Dallas fans. Then again, maybe it might. Mike McCarthy will return for his 5th season as Cowboys coach. Okay, and he's had 3 straight 12-5 seasons. We'll see what happens. So I have a feeling that he'll be under a lot more pressure than you can imagine next year, but we'll see what happens. So no, for all you Green Bay fans that were hoping that Mike McCarthy was going to lose his job because of you, not happening this time unless it happens next year. All right, let's go to the topics. Let's talk about the biggest home field advantage in the divisional round. What this pretty much is I'm going to go over 4 stadiums, and I'm going to start off first, okay? The choices are Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium, San Francisco Levi Stadium, Detroit Ford Field, and Buffalo Highmark Stadium. Now, I've been to all 4 areas, but at that time, I went to Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and that was quite an advantage. But I've been to Baltimore, been to San Francisco and Buffalo, and I'm going to lean toward Ford Field because it gets loud in there. And you know what? When you have a lot of passionate Detroit fans out there, you can rest assured that you're going to have a few earplugs a little bit. So with that said, I'll turn it over to George Eichhorn.
Well, that's a tough one, Scott. It really is. I mean, yeah, right now the Lions fans are very, very loud and vocal. They haven't had much to cheer about, as we all know, since that place was opened until the things started coming together the second half of last season. And then, of course, this season. Very passionate fans in those other cities you mentioned, of course. San Francisco, I've never been to the stadium, but a Super Bowl has been held there. Obviously, Baltimore, outdoor stadium. And then what was the Buffalo? Is the other home team?
Highmark Stadium.
Yeah. Just really, really, really rabid fans, I think, in all 4 of those cities. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be a homer, but yeah, I would give the edge to Detroit also because it's enclosed, it's a dome, and despite what some of our friends were saying the other night on the football show about building an outdoor stadium, it ain't going to happen. Okay, it's never going to happen in Detroit again. They're not going to turn down thousands of dollars and big events like the Final Four, the Frozen Four, WWE, WrestleMania, and all these other shows. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's a funny idea that I think it was Mel Farr or somebody suggested having it outdoors, but not in my lifetime. You know, Ford Field is my choice, though.
Okay, well, Denzel.
Well, whenever you talk about the House of Horrors in the postseason, and what comes to mind, historical ones like old Candlestick Park, like Scott alluded to, also old Texas Stadium back in the 90s when the Cowboys had their run. That was a House of Horrors as well. And then you had some in the last 10 or 15 years like New Orleans Superdome, which got scarily loud. And then also I forget the name, the stadium where the Seahawks play out there in Seattle, Washington.
Kingdom.
That one there got ridiculously loud.
Kingdom.
Yes. Oh, no. I mean back in 2013 when they won it all, not the Kingdom.
Okay.
Their current stadium.
Well, the Kingdom was pretty impressive too. I've been there.
Yes.
I've been to Old Texas Stadium, but continue.
Yes, that one got loud also. Man, I really would love to say Ford Field because Ford Field did get loud, and I did catch SummerSlam whenever it happened back in August, and it does get pretty loud in there. But on this topic, give me the fan base that literally throws themselves through tables in the cold. They are probably the craziest fan base out of all of them mentioned, and that would be Highmark Stadium. It got pretty loud on a lot of games this season, Monday night or Sunday night or you name it. It got loud even on Monday, and the game was rescheduled. Yeah, very, very passionate, very, very loyal fans. I got Detroit at a close second, but yeah, give me Highmark Stadium.
Okay, Jacob.
Oh, easily Highmark Stadium. One of the things about the deal, the one good thing about all 4 of the places is they're not throwing popcorn on the coaches. That's the one good thing about that. But other than that part, by itself, it is hard for me to ever put San Francisco in there just because it's California. And if San Francisco's not good, they're not anywhere. Buffalo, if they're bad, they're still doing this.
Right.
Give this the credit. We'll say Philly the same way. If they're bad. Chicago had a snowy day this year. They filled the stadium. It was a horrible team. You get to those things. But I'm doing a comparison because when we put San Francisco in there, they're doing this now because they're really good. They're not going to be there when they're bad. They just don't.
So what's your choice?
I'm saying Buffalo. It's like just because I'm putting Buffalo for the thing. It's a close call with a few things, and you get Detroit. Detroit becomes this. But Buffalo, it's just that outdoor atmosphere, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have Bills Mafia going out there and giving everything they've got too. And last but not least, Mr. Ellis. And after we get done with JV, we're going to go to the chat room.
So, I mean, this question would be a great question. If possibly Detroit was playing a rival, because the Kansas City Buffalo match has become a little bit of a rivalry over the past few years. And now Buffalo gets to have them up in Highmark Stadium for a chance to go to the AFC Championship game. And everyone told Buffalo since about week 7 or so that they had no business. They weren't making the playoffs. They weren't going to do anything. So those fans are getting used to being slapped around all year. They're angry. And now they want to take their anger out on a team that prevented them from going to the Super Bowl a few times.
Right.
So, Detroit's a very loud, the Dome is loud, but you're playing Tampa Bay. It worked out perfect that you guys have Tampa Bay because the matchup against Tampa Bay, I think, is better than it is against Philadelphia. You should win to get to the NFC Championship game, but the juice isn't there. I mean, the fans are thrilled. They're going to be loud, but in Buffalo, it's a hatred for Kansas City. They're loud and they're ready to go no matter what, but now you give them, it's like they're a rabid dog. They got blood on their lips and they want more. And this is, I think, their chance to get Kansas City if they play a good game. So,
one more thing, real fast, I wanted to say. One thing I wanted to say, I'm going to use Kansas City also in that thing as far as loud. I still love that they do the drum, and I still love that they do the chop. Still love the opening, beginning, and everything. They're not listening to the noise. They're not listening to all of the all of the people who are like, the social justice warrior thing and all that stuff. They're just trying to, the fans, they're trying to have fun. They're not listening to Deadspin or any of that crap. They're there to have fun, and I enjoy that, and they're loud, and I give them all that credit.
Well, JB, you know what? Let me tell you this. I do like your logic behind it because you're looking at a stadium right now based on a rivalry, and normally this game is played at Arrowhead Stadium, but because of the fact that the Bills are actually hosting the game, then it adds a lot more intrigue in terms of how loud it's going to be. And bear in mind, the Bills are going to have a 65,000-seat new stadium is what they're going to have in a couple of years. And if you think Highmark Stadium is rough, wait till they bring on a new stadium. Let's go to the chat room real quick, and we'll comment on everything. First of all, James Burgess, I know one place was happy about the numbers. Vegas, yeah, they got every single number on the planet. And then we also had – I thought Jerry would make the jump, but in all truth, he doesn't have an itchy trigger finger. That's true, Jim. He really doesn't. Buffalo's crazy anyway, but Mahomes finally in the Buffalo equivalent of daily pizza. All right, I'll take your word. I've never heard of it, but all right, I'll take that.
That actually was my point I wanted to add is keep in mind that this weekend is Mahomes' first career road playoff game, and It's in Buffalo. Those fans are going to let him have it. It is going to be bananas.
And I want to also add, too, Scott, that I have the utmost respect for those Buffalo fans. I know I sided with Detroit, but my God, coming in there with shovels and shoveling out that stadium and getting their seats ready and snow going up in the air after the touchdowns last weekend. I mean, they are crazy. They are crazy, and they are the mafia. But boy, oh boy, I mean, that was, they're so rabid, like you guys said. And the weather conditions did not stop them one bit from enjoying that big win.
Yeah.
George, I got a bucket list thing for you. Go shirtless in the snow, just take it in and go down the little slide like they did that.
Yeah, I saw that guy.
That's your bucket list thing now.
Yeah, that would be good for a 67-year-old man like me.
Make it happen, George. Make it happen.
There you go, George. That's your homework assignment until we put you on pundits for tomorrow. All right. With that said, according to a report from Fox 4 in Kansas City, the KC Fire Department said emergency responders received dozens of calls relating to hypothermia and frostbite. 15 fans were hospitalized after the Dolphins and the Chiefs game. Well, we knew it was going to get cold. I was waiting for these numbers to come up to see how many were going to get hospitalized. So, George, do you think this number is high or low?
I think it's rather low, Scott. I think it's probably more than that. But don't forget, a lot of people don't report. They don't check in, or they man up and say, hey, I'm not worried about it. So, I mean, you're always going to have numbers that aren't accurate in a sense like that because some fans just, were man about it, as they say, and went on to enjoy the brewskis and the burgers and whatever else they enjoyed after that game. But, oh, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, George Carlin had a great shtick many, many years ago. And if you haven't seen it in a while, you have to. He compared baseball fans to football fans. And I won't give it away, but you guys got to look that up on YouTube. It is so funny. And one of the things you just said, Scott, about being outdoors and being in the weather conditions, and if you're at a baseball game, they stop and they put a tarp on the field. Just George Carlin had a great way about him. And anyways, that reminded me of that little bit that he did. But yeah, I mean, you and I, Scott, we saw it at Tiger Stadium when we had crappy weather. We went to so many games there with our friends or our family. So yeah, it's frostbite. That's a dangerous thing though. But
yeah, George Carlin, I'll tell you what, if you think frostbite's a dangerous thing, I had to deal with a heat issue over at the Phoenix Raceway out there, and I had to deal with almost heat problems.
Oh yeah,
heat is just as bad, but for the case of staying on point, yeah, frostbite is definitely true. And we talked about George Carlin quite a bit before.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob.
One of the things about cold weather and playing in the cold and watching the cold is best said by Jim McMahon. You don't notice when you're winning, whether you're the fan or you're the player. You don't notice when you're winning. You notice plenty when you're losing. Reminds me of '88 when they got absolutely slapped by San Francisco. It's like everybody was so pop. Everything I said so boom, and by like the third quarter, everybody looks like they're in their coats and shivering like crazy. And it's all that kind of stuff. The thing about this frostbite is how many. I mean, do you know the numbers of how many Miami fans were and how many Kansas City fans got the frostbite?
No, those are the numbers.
I think that those numbers came out. They just said I saw 15 fans.
Oh, okay. But here's the thing. Let's just say they were all 15 Kansas City fans. When you're excited like that and you're playing a game like that, they probably didn't even notice. They probably would have left if they were losing, just because of how bitter that cold was. Jim McMahon said it himself. We don't notice when you're winning and when the excitement, and it's adrenaline. You probably wake up and your face is burned to crisp because of the cold. And that's just the thing is, and it's unfortunate thing with it. But something, it's like I don't want to hear anybody try to say that. I mean, Kurt Warner said, "Oh my God, we need every big game in the dome." This is a guy that went to Arizona and played in a dome, and he played arena football.
He played in a dome at the Rams too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And, he played in St. Louis, and then he played arena football. He's from Iowa, doesn't like cold weather. It's like, okay, but I'm not going to listen to Kurt Warner on that thought process because he played 1 year in New York and despised the cold. Despised it. He doesn't like cold weather, so it's like we're not going to listen to him on that. It's just, guess what? It is a home field advantage. Sometimes it's a nice little story. But then, I bring up the '88 Bears and the Niners. That should have been the home field for the Bears. They got slapped. So it's sometimes you just figure out how to get through it.
Okay, but my question to you is, do you feel that number, was high or low?
Yeah. Oh, it's low. It's low. Part of it goes to what I was saying with because of how good. Let's just say it was all the Kansas City fans. It goes to that is like how many are really just trying to tough it out and how many didn't go.
Well, I wasn't worried about the Dolphins fans showing up. Otherwise, that number would be double, so you don't have to worry about
Oh, yeah, because they've never in cold.
And they wouldn't show up for that game anyways. But that's another story. All right, Denzel.
To answer the question, I'm going to say that number was low. I'm alongside George here on this one. Is how many went unreported? How many of them were like, man, I'm just going to go home and suck down hot chicken soup for 24 hours and I'll be just fine? Because they've been through this kind of weather before. Now, I wonder how many of them hospitalized were the fanatics that were there with their shirts off. Kind of lesson learned here, right? Like, don't take your shirt off and it's like Alaska outside, okay? but yeah, definitely, I would say underreported. Had all of them reported, that number's probably in the 40s, considering the capacity of Arrowhead. It might even be more than that, but I mean, 15, yeah, it was low. A lot of them, And when you grow up in the elements like that, like, okay, like Scott, George, you guys know, even you, JB, and for sure you, Jacob, you come up and you shovel snow and everything, and you're in those kind of elements. I'm like the only one on this panel that didn't grow up shoveling the snow because, hey, tropical Houston, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're out there in the elements and you've shoveled snow or you've done some roofing or something like that, your body just gets adjusted to it. It just does, So I would say for a lot of them, it just went unreported, and they went home and they had their own home remedies, and it worked. We didn't hear any deaths, fortunately. So it worked so far.
If you think that I'm having any sympathy for those guys that went shirtless, then Santa Claus is Jewish. Sorry, that's as far as the religion gets on this show.
Hey, he can convert.
Hold on, Jacob. I get to talk. I know you're going to try to talk over
Oy
me.
vey.
I have a much deeper voice than you, Christopher. Just don't you ever forget that. So yeah, let me repeat that for all you people that believe no, Christmas isn't that far away, just less than a month away. So if you think I'm definitely sympathetic or people with no shirts on, Santa Claus is Jewish, okay?
Oy vey.
So I don't want those people coming up me from the people up above saying I'm saying anything it is, because you know what? The FCC doesn't regulate this stuff here that we're doing. All right, so there you go. That's
It's funny you mentioned that, Scott.
Headline Sports. Go ahead.
It's funny you mentioned that, Scott, because when I first saw the report on Bleacher Report, literally the first comment was it was probably the idiots with their shirts off.
Exactly. That's all. Have you fall into the GMTA? Great minds think alike. I didn't have to quiz you on that. All right, Mr. Ellis.
So the Gauntlet has a great segment every week called Sports Mart of the Week. Jay is one of the hosts of the Gauntlet. Any fan that went shirtless would fit into the Sports Mart of the Week. Secondly, listen, I love going to football games. It's a fun experience. When the wind chill is minus 20, as it's been where I live in the Midwest for the last week, and you go out and you clean your car, and after about 5 minutes you can't feel your hands, I'm not sitting out to watch a whole football game. I'll pay the $5.99 to get Peacock if I don't live in the local areas where it's at. And if I live in the local area, I'll turn on my local channel and watch it. But to spend the money on parking and then to sit there and freeze, and then if I want to drink something, I'm not going to want to drink a cold beer. I'm going to buy an $18 hot chocolate, because Atlanta is the only stadium that gives you concession prices that are reasonable. The one thing Atlanta has done right in their football career. But and then you're going to sit in traffic to get out of there. It's going to cost you a few $100s to freeze and possibly get pneumonia, hypothermia, and all sorts of other problems. Luckily, your home team won, and you're going to deal with that for what? Watch it on TV. Football is the only sport, and that's why there are dome stadiums. It's not because, the Lions wouldn't have a home field advantage if they played outside. It's because you want to pack the stadium with fans, and the fans want to be comfortable, so they'll spend money and they'll want to be there. If it's outdoors, they'll go. There's enough crazy people in the world to fill up a stadium in every city, but you want them to spend the money. You want them to buy the beer. You want them to get the nachos. Nobody's sitting there eating nachos and, that minus 22. You can't even use your hands. Stupidest thing in the world. That's why you got dome stadiums. And I definitely think it's underreported. And every one of them got what they deserved. You knew what you were going into. Why you didn't prepare, there's clothing you could wear. If you wanted to suffer through that, you got to be prepared.
Yeah, I don't even think a flu shot could save you from that debacle. Back to the chat room. One of our teammates over at NGBN, Dave Bradley, who will be on a future edition of our show. Dave, just trying to sort out the schedule you'll be on. I'm with you, JB. All right, there you go. I'm glad you're on here, Dave. Thank you very much. James Burgess is a legend on this show anyways. That's that. All right, now South Florida Tribune, obviously. Kansas City Fire Department received a total of 69 calls from folks inside the stadium or in the parking lot. Nearly half the calls being for hypothermia. What about the first aid at the game? Well, there you go. Those numbers are obviously what they are. All right, with that said, who do we have left? Do we have me? All right, well, you know what? The way I look at it is you're shirtless. You get no sympathy from me. And I had my one religious moment presented by Sideline Sports, presented by Christmas and all the other holidays that passed us for the next 320 some odd days. All right, on to Jared Goff. Okay, here's a stat that was unbelievable and had to bring it up. Jared Goff is the first quarterback in NFL history to snap a 10-plus year playoff drought with multiple teams. Get this, okay? In 2019, he led the Rams to the playoff win since 2005, and they defeated Dallas in 30-22. So you're talking about 2019 to 2005. There's Jared, okay? Oh, if that wasn't good enough, let's talk about the 2024 Lions, where their first playoff win since 1992, defeating the Rams 24-23. And you know what? That's a record he owns all by himself. All right, we'll start at the top. Mr. Ellis, what do you think about Jared Goff?
Listen, I always like Jared Goff. I think the Rams gave up on him way too early in his career. Got lucky. They got Stafford, who's, I'll say, is a good quarterback. I was never high on him, but he's proven me wrong, and he's shown that he can make receivers great and better than what they are. But I think the Rams, they cut Goff off way too early. Think they would have had great success with him. I'm glad he went to Detroit and is doing well there. Leader in the community. It was a great trade from both sides, and what a great record to have, to show that you were the person that stepped in and changed the course of history for a franchise, and he did it not with one but two. Pretty impressive.
It sure is. All right, James Burgess. Goff is the turnaround kid. Okay, let's put it up there. Okay. You have, obviously, he's a Cal, comes from the University of California. Now my Lions, there you go. Good stuff. All right. So, all right, with that said, let's go over to the guy in Detroit, George Eichhorn.
Well, hey, listen, I'm not going to argue with anything that JB said. Goff is just a tremendous athlete. He is just dropped into the Detroit scene. Most fans here didn't know much about him. Obviously, we know that he got the Rams to the Super Bowl, but the fact of the matter is that Matthew Stafford would rack up numbers year after year after year. And my whole thing with Stafford was that, well, what have you done in the postseason for Detroit? And again, it's not his fault. I mean, we had lousy general managers and lousy coaches some of those years. But that being said, he still never had one single playoff victory as a Lions quarterback. So I knew that the trade would be a breath of fresh air to him and his family and going out to LA. And in return, the Lions made out like bandits, as Scott has said many times, with a general manager that pulled off a heist and all the good talent besides Goff that they got in that trade. But yeah, I got the utmost respect for the guy. He's steady, he's calm. And if you watched any of that jubilant celebration in the locker room after Sunday night, oh my God, he's got the back of every one of those players, not to mention all the coaches and management people too. So that's quite a feat, Scott. I'm glad you drag out that statistic because that is quite a feat.
Well, let's face the reality. Matthew Stafford has a beautiful wife in Kelly Stafford, but I wouldn't laugh at Kristen Harper. She's absolutely adorable too. That sport illustrated swimsuit model. You really can't go wrong with her either. So if you're looking at comparing the women, they're both great in their own ways. But yeah, Jared Goff to me is just the best word to describe him. He's very unheralded and underappreciated, but he will be revered in Detroit. Okay, Jacob.
Yeah, I know. Kristen Harper and all of them going in a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue and everything, and they're good looking. Oh my God, that's a novel concept. But the big thing about Jared Goff, and I'll say this part, he is complete and utter proof that you got the quarterback, but you also need a coach that believes in you. Dan Campbell believes in him. Sean McVay quit on him. He just did, and it's like that is the difference really between success in the NFL and not for a quarterback in a lot of ways. Yeah, there are quarterbacks that may not have they may not, but you know, so we'll use Pittsburgh for instance. They didn't quit on Mason Rudolph, and he got him to a playoff. They didn't quit on him. He went 3-0 and got him to a playoff. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And he was terrible his 10 games, but they didn't quit. Sometimes even if you're not skilled, it takes someone believing in you. And there's a lot of quarterbacks, and we can name them, that got quit on and they're out of the league or they're backups now. It just depends. it's just the luck of the draw. Jared Goff found somebody he believed in him. And congratulations to him. Now he's getting himself – he could get to the NFC title game very, very easily. Especially this is a much better matchup, much more favorable matchup. And I'm happy for Jared Goff because he found someone that believes in him. He could probably stay there the rest of his career now.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. Well, another thing, a great footnote, I'm glad you brought it up, Jacob, is the fact that, Dan Campbell helped rebuild Jared Goff's confidence. Sean McVay did a lot to drag it down. How was anybody going to respond when you're being dragged down like that? And then you bring Dan Campbell in, and what do you have? A lot of streaks for all the wrong reasons being broken. With that said, we'll turn it over to the sniper.
You know, when the Rams gave up on Jared Goff, they traded him to the Lions, and I understand business decisions have to be made, but they traded him to the Lions so his career could go to die. This is a man who said no to the grave. This is a man who said, I'm going to make the best of this situation, like Jacob said, because I have a coach that believes in me. And what does that turn into? Third season with Detroit. He's got 2 winning seasons, won the division, won a playoff game, and the playoff run is still going. Like he said, they probably have the easiest path to the NFC title game for a team not named the 49ers. Also, he also made another bit of history too. He became the first he became the first quarterback to lead a team to a playoff victory versus a team that he led to a playoff victory. So there's another bit of news for you there. Jared Goff, there's a reason why they call his side of the ball Goffense. Okay. Him, St. Brown, Jamal Williams, the dual back system of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta having a breakout year that he did. Even when he had Hockenson, a year or so ago, he's just been making the very best of his situation. He's letting folks know, Jared Goff was in a Super Bowl not that long ago, and had he played any other team than the Patriots, they probably win. Jared Goff is still a young man, and I remember watching him tearing it up at Cal, as James Burgess alluded to. Hats off to the dude, I think Jared Goff is going to be revered in Detroit for a very long time. I think he's going to take them places. So Detroit, it's not just this season. When they went 9-8 last year, I said it back last August. I said the division is the Lions to lose. They won the division. Now, we may see 5 years of this. Okay. Now, I know you got that Jordan Love guy, doing numbers down there in Green Bay, and who knows what's going to happen with the Bears. Jacob probably knows better.
Tyson Bagent probably by now.
Hey, I'm all for it. Agent Bagent, 005.
Yep.
But
don't forget Kirk Cousins in Minnesota.
Yeah, and Minnesota's just
they'll be back next year.
Minnesota's just unpredictable. 1 year they win 12 games, the next year they win 4. Who knows what's going to happen with them? So the constant in the division for the foreseeable future is looking like Lions, Packers, But with Jared Goff, I'm giving him a really great shot, a real good chance.
Okay, back to the chat room. We'll go to James Burgess again. Okay, and that's this. Rich Gannon is a classic case of sometimes a QB needs to marinate a while. You know what? You could add Jim Plunkett to the list, and how did that work out? So, change of scenery, give him a little time and recoup. And versus +1 and +5, also nice to meet you. Look at these guys, man. Burgess in a roll. Burgess, get in touch with me already. I want to bring you on here. Seriously? Come on, Burgess. We're ready to bring you on. All right. And now let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, we mentioned a little bit about Mike McCarthy. These are numbers here that I know Denzel Stripes is coming up with some great stuff today.
Scott, I didn't know that you had a comedy segment for the Sports Exchange. This must be something new. It's something new, isn't it? You've been brewing this up. Dallas Cowboys, this is definitely comedy jam, man. I like this. This got a good comedy segment.
You are now a muscular Stephen A. Smith.
Our goal is to educate, inspire. Okay, right, JB? How many times we heard
you got
that?
it.
Now, what are the other two things? Educate, inspire,
entertain.
Look, I get it. Educate and inspire, but every single person on this panel favored the entertaining teacher back in school. The one that was funny and could teach you something.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the clouds in Dallas are probably the most entertaining sideshow in the world.
That too.
Exactly.
How's your mom feel about this?
She didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well,
She actually turned off the game in like the third quarter.
While we're
Oh,
entertaining, now I have to get to the informative part of the broadcast presented by Sideline Sports and NGBN TV. Guess we got to get used to doing those commercials. Hopefully, they won't have to use my raspy voice to do it. All right, but since the Houston Texans' inaugural season in 2005, they have 5 playoff wins, and the Cowboys have 4. How does that make you feel, Denzel? Pretty good, eh?
The team of Texas. I've been trying to tell them. Continue, sir.
All right, let me throw a couple more numbers out there that everybody can talk about. Dak Prescott's winning percentage in the regular season is 56% in the play, 56% in the regular season. The playoffs at 29%, and the Cowboys' playoff record since their last Super Bowl is 5-13. The only thing good about 5-13 is it might be a good 3-digit lottery number, but if you're the Cowboys, it's not the number you want. All right, we'll go to the top. George Eichhorn, there you go. You heard all the numbers. What do you think?
I don't think they're America's team any longer. That's for darn sure. I mean, they always claimed they were, but my God, they're in a category that I put the New York Yankees and the Montreal Canadiens. Proud franchises, winning championships, and now in a terrible, terrible downspin. I tell you, you say what you want about Dak Prescott. He is just like a yo-yo. He's either up or he's down. Well, this year they were up at all the home games. Oh, yeah. What did you do? Did you take Green Bay lightly? Really? Did you just expect them to walk in here from Wisconsin and throw in the towel? I mean, how stupid if you were not up for that game, Dak, and your teammates, how stupid and ignorant was that? I mean, not to say it could have been a different result, but it sure looked like it to me that they were just walking, like sleepwalking. The Cowboys, I tell you what, Scott, say what you want. Dak's a good quarterback, but boy, oh boy, the rest, it's a nightmare there. Jerry Jones created Jerry's world, didn't he?
Sure did. So, all right, I'm going to ask everybody the same question. Of these 3 numbers, talking about the Texans 5-4 playoff wins, and you got Dak Prescott's percentage is futile when it comes to the regular season and the playoffs, and the Cowboys' playoff record since their last Super Bowl. All right, we're going to go do it this way. JB, which one of those stands out to you?
Listen, Dak is brutal in the playoffs. That was already known. But you know what you're missing in this whole thing?
What?
The Texans learned from the Herschel Walker trade that the Cowboys made when they traded Deshaun Watson. They got 3 first-round picks and a bunch of others for a guy that was never going to play for them again, that they sat on the bench because of everything that happened. So Dallas, years before, when they became that Super Bowl dynasty in the 80s when they got rid of Landry and Jimmy came in, they had that Herschel Walker trade, which was very similar. Minnesota, another losing organization, like Cleveland, just can't get their foot out of their mouth, made a similar type trade, and it just didn't work out. And who benefited? Dallas. Right. Who's benefiting right now? Houston. Houston, the rookies that they signed, that they drafted, phenomenal. They're going to be good for years to come if they build this core, and they're going to be the team of Texas, as Denzel said.
They already are.
I don't know about yet. They're still learning, but they're phenomenal.
Oh,
and
no,
Stroud definitely looks like the real deal.
Okay, Jacob, now you can talk.
Yeah. No, they are. They're the team of Texans. The reason I say this now is everything about Texans. You've heard me, Denzel, say this. You've heard me say this. That Houston is just cool to watch. They're cool. And here's the funny thing. Dallas has literally turned. They turned less cool than even the Landry at the last year's level of really boring. They're less cool than that. It's like they are Grandpa's old team from the VHS. Houston is cool. They have sleek looking fit, sleek looking uniforms. They have sleek looking offenses, everything. Dallas is just old. The owner is old, act old. Oh, their owner is only young compared to Virginia McCaskey. So they just act old, period. And the thing is, and that, by the way, when you said 29% for Dak, I'm shocked it's that high as far as his playoff record. I am shocked it's that high because it's like, what does he have? 2 wins or 1?
2.
But Jacob, you're looking at, the way you're saying Dallas is uncool, you're looking at it from an analyst perspective. Really, to be the team, unfortunately, Dallas is America's team. There are crazy people throughout the country that love the Dallas Cowboys for no rational reason other than they're the Dallas Cowboys. So
yeah, that's true.
There's the people that love the Houston Texans. I could probably count on one finger outside of Houston. Are they a fun team to watch? By all means. If the Texans are on, I'll turn it on. I've seen a couple of games this year. But other than Jay, I don't know any other Texan fan. So they can't be the team of Texas if I don't know any of their fans. I can count probably about 100 Dallas fans that I know.
Oh yeah, you are correct on something like that. But when maybe I'm going to the future, maybe I'm getting it. But it's like everything about what you're seeing is Stroud's going to make him even cooler for one thing.
Okay, well, Jacob, let me give you some good advice, okay? This is called Journalism 101. Let's focus on going to the present and answer the question the way that I presented it to you, okay? And that question that I'm going to ask you again is, of the 3 stats that I have.
I said the 29%.
Huh?
I said the 29%. That's what I said.
Okay, well, somehow, some way, that 29% got buried somewhere. Yeah. I don't know if it got buried in a sinkhole in Florida or whether it got buried in the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. But thank you very much.
Or in Texas Stadium.
No, it got buried with.
But 29%, and I'm shocked it's that high.
You got buried with Jimmy Hoffa.
No, it got buried with Skip Bayless's Dallas Cowboy jersey.
That one alone.
And shirts.
Yeah. All right. Just want to make sure but I got to give Jacob Christer some credit, though. He is making the reporter come out of me, knowing that you can think you can dodge questions from a lot of people, but you're not dodging it with me, Christer. I know you dodge anything. Well. What's that?
I wouldn't dodge anything. You know darn good well that.
No, I know you wouldn't dodge it. It's just the fact that you can do your Texas 2-step all day long. We're trying to figure out where the 1-step part is. And we'll.
As long as the girl I'm doing it with is hot.
You're right. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the man who resides in Texas, and I'm glad that he talked about these other things. Sniper, you know the question, and I know that I'm glad that Jacob was able to filter his way through the question. It's not like he went over the hill and through the woods to grandmother's house. We go here. He was just doing a good dodgeball question, and the only one that does dodging better is Barry Sanders. Okay, anybody get that? I don't know. Burgess probably does. All right. Denzel, you know the question. Which of the 3 stands out?
The 29%. Just like Jacob said, I mean, 2 playoff wins and Dak is going into year 8, I believe. Yeah, it's not going to get it done, especially not for no quarterback of the Cowboys. Not for a franchise that have had the likes of Staubach, Aikman, even Romo come through there. 2 playoff wins in that much of a span is not going to get it done, especially when the other quarterback just south of you in Houston just got half of your total, and his playoff run is still going.
Right, and
he's a rookie. So, yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's the stat that stands out the most, and it honestly is a question that people need to start asking themselves, because I've said it for the last couple of years. I said they ain't going to sniff another Super Bowl as long as the old man is in charge. He likes yes men. He does the same thing over and over, expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. Right. You have no idea the size of check that I'm going to write if it could mean the Super Bowl. Word. Because we seem to see like a repeat. Like Garrett was there for 8 or 9 years, and then you got McCarthy, and you know who he is. You know that this man wasn't nothing without Rodgers. That much is apparent now. He's not no quarterback whisperer like that guy in Kansas City, that coach in Kansas City with that number 15. Yeah, he's not no quarterback whisperer like him. There are just some people who are just defined by quarterbacks, and it is what it is. Sean Payton's another. He's nothing without Breeze. Everyone's gonna see exactly what I mean next season. That's the criticism with Bill Belichick right now. He's nothing without Tom Brady. Just is what it is, But point is, going back to Dak Prescott, and I don't know if he just needs to change the scenery or if that is just his ceiling. Some people's ceiling is the divisional round, like Tony Romo's was.
I got one thing to say about the whole Belichick thing there, Denzel. I mean, I'm just going to say that you're partially right. One of the things is Tom Brady was the one that said it himself, though, that he was the one that had to develop him. Bill Belichick did. So at least they were basically with each other. They made each other. This isn't like I see Belichick had Cleveland, but he was mostly a defensive coordinator, all this stuff. Then he gets coach of New England. At least if he would have been like 5 years without Brady, then that happened. That's understandable. But they basically were together.
They were.
Basically from the get-go. So they were. It is Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. No, they basically were, but also keep in mind, he also had Charlie Weiss as a physical coordinator. And Belichick was a defensive guy by trade, Yeah. So he's the head coach, but we always call them Belichick's defenses, right? There are just some coaches that are going to lean a little heavier on, that side of the ball. So you also should give credit to Charlie Weiss as well.
Oh, there's no question about it. And it's like, now you see Charlie Weiss Jr. on there somewhere, and I give no credit to him.
Yeah.
But that's the hi Pete, how you doing? Whoever that is that Pete Davidson? But no, the big thing I look at, and I'll tell you this, JB, this is a reminder, a teeny little history lesson. You got me from Pundit Points. Remember that on the thing when you saw it? One of them was Jerry Jones. I said he's not going to win a game or win a Super Bowl until he finds that dog in him that bought the team and fired Landry. Remember, I said that. I said that years ago. I took the guts to say that, and it's obviously showing.
Well, the reality, no matter how we want to break this thing down, Jerry Jones is going to have to, at some point or another, decide how much more money he's going to want to pay Dak Prescott when this guy is so futile in the playoffs. And if Dak Prescott thinks he's worth a lot more money, at that point, I'd get rid of him. I don't know what you have in Trey Lance and what you have in Cooper Rush, but there's a fine line that you cannot have a quarterback who has been incompetent in the playoffs, eating up most of your thing I want to make very clear here. We can talk about all these numbers from Jones. The only way that they can ever win another Super Bowl is bring back Jimmy Johnson, because he's the only one that figured it out, okay? Barry Switzer, well, you know what? To me, he got a gift from Jimmy Johnson. Who knows how many cards he's gotten with him. So it all comes down to this, okay? Dak Prescott does not deserve a raise because you can't get this team to the NFC championship game, a place they haven't been to, I believe, since, 1995 or 96. So it's been a while. Dak Prescott, if I were doing the books, you're not getting a raise, so just be thankful that you're collecting the dough that you are. All right, one last topic I want to get to first. Anybody else want to add?
Yeah. One quick thing, though. I mean, with Dallas, right, you're saying what are you supposed to do with Dak? The problem is the same thing that the Steelers have. When you fall into that, you're 9-7, 9-8, 10-7 with the 17-game schedule. You fall in a spot where you can't really draft that franchise quarterback unless the one you really like falls. So you're kind of stuck with what you have by being stuck in the middle or winning your division and being in that top, 8, 12 picks in the back end of it. So, same thing happened with the Steelers. That's why they're stuck with Mason Rudolph. I mean, they got Pickett, but I don't think any of us think Pickett's the answer either. But that's, kind of what happens. You got to kind of be bad to equal it out.
Well, JB, here's the thing, though. It takes luck to get them even it out, to get it that bad, to get it back up quick. You're talking to the Bears fan here. They took their chance letting go Lovey when he was 10-6. 1 10-win season in 11 years since. One. And it's like, you can make – that's the point I make to the Philly fans, and that's the point I make to every fan. All this, when they want to get rid of somebody when it's in a better shape. And it's like, you could be decade before, with like one win and then being a big problem if you don't get the right guy right away. And then you're going 4 coaches in. And you just have to you have to replace people properly. A lot of these teams don't know how to do that.
All right, let me point out one other thing. I have one more topic I want to get to. I want to make sure we get out of here on time. And that's this, okay? The Indianapolis International Airport has installed a basketball court to promote All-Star Weekend in Indy, but fans won't be permitted to play on the court. This doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out answer. Do you agree or disagree with this decision? George Eichern, we'll start with you.
I saw the photos of it. It looks fabulous. I covered the last All-Star game in Indianapolis, and they did a hell of a job. Now they're finally getting it back again. The airport went crazy. It's a bad decision. You're not letting people go on it. I'm sorry. Bad.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, Sniper.
It's not a bad decision. It's a terrible decision.
Right.
You wasted resources on a court that can't nobody walk on. You couldn't just get a couple of skilled graffiti artists to spray paint a mural. I'm sure you have a wall big enough. That would have sufficed, and it would have been way cheaper. Horrible decision.
Okay. Jacob, try to make this a little brief if you want to.
Oh, it's very brief. Denzel's just lucky that they won't let me play on it, so I can beat him in 1-on-1.
Ha!
Oh,
All right, so Mr. I'll elude the question. Is it a good decision or a bad decision?
It's a horrible decision. Terrible.
Okay, good enough. All right, JB.
Why is there a basketball court in an airport? How does that say anything to do with the All-Star game? And why would you allow somebody to play basketball in the middle of the airport? Hey, let's schedule CYO games for, Terminal 2. Oh, no, we're delayed. We have to delay flights because the ball went on the tarmac. Oh, get out of here. We're going to play on the basketball court in an airport. What kind of stupid question? Not you, but what kind of stupid idea is that?
It's a stupid idea that wound up on this show, but thank you very much for
not you. The court is stupid.
I know. I'm kidding with you.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's a unanimous. I think the whole idea stinks. Why put it there if you can't let anybody go out there and shoot a couple of baskets? I mean, let's face the reality. You're trying to promote the All-Star game is what you're trying to do. Yep. And put a couple security guards out there. Make it fun, for crying out loud, or don't do it.
Wouldn't want those pesky kids going out there stealing the net.
You know what? Have a slam dunk contest there with like old timers or something.
Well, I have to tell you, the best court to ever go to in Indiana is the one where the Hickory Huskers played, and that was a great place to go. If you haven't been there, go there. All right. Well, with that said, this concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange, but we have some unfinished business to take care of. I want to let everybody know that the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? The chat room's one way to do it. We had good participation tonight. Also, send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. Also, we broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, eventually Instagram. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Our Twitter /X is @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes and producing the show and is a mastermind of the website. I have a book out there called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, available on Kindle and Amazon. And, pretty much it pertains to old school media versus new school media. If a lot of people are wondering if I haven't taken a breath, I'm sure Ian Hill will probably say, no, I haven't yet, but I'll have an opportunity to do it in 2 seconds. NBGN will launch at Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and mobile devices. It will be in 85% of the homes in the United States and Canada, and 4.1 billion mobile devices. The Sports Exchange and Pundit will be represented from Sideline Sports, South Florida Tribune. Now, am I going to take a breath? Of course I'm going to do it, because I'm turning it over to George Eichhorn.
And breaking news, Detroit Red Wings go into Florida and they defeat the Panthers.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay, I saw it with my left eye, but that's okay.
You can reach me at geichhorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name, or on Twitter, SanGSports99. You can also follow me in the South Florida Tribune and the Motor City Tribune. My columns appear there regularly. And at the end of my column, there's a link to look into my book. Congratulations to Scott, and congratulations to all you folks out there that want a good book. Please get his. And if you want mine, there's a link for mine too as well. Good to be on with all you guys. Thank you.
All right, Sniper. And by the way, Pundit will air tomorrow at 7:45 Eastern time. So hope you can join us. All right, Sniper.
Oh, you know what? They could take the basketball court at the airport when they're all done and relaunch Slam Ball. That would be great. Oh, we're done talking about that. Okay. Denzel Sniper 13 on Twitch.
Reference. That's okay, Denzel. You know what? I got no problem with it. Go ahead.
Denzel Sniper 13 on Twitch. Denzel Snipes 13 on YouTube. Denzel Snipes on Facebook. And and the Gauntlet this Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gonna have a loaded show. Gonna have 5 of us. The original crew. Tyler Ingham's gonna be on there. So stay tuned.
By the way, Dave Bradley, thanks for the kind words. Don't worry, you'll be on here sooner than you can snap your finger. We'll be in touch. All right. With that said, JB Ellis, go ahead.
JB _ the program on X. We're live on NGBN every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We got the sneak peek on the 29th at Sideline Sports 1 for all the Sideline Sports socials. And again, JB _ the program on X. I'm good.
And Jacob Christner, Cliff Notes version.
Absolutely. Live on NGBN soon. We're also 5 days a week on South Florida Tribune Sideline Sports. There's also some acting and a few other things along the way.
All right. Well, and just so you know, Candy Ebling will be putting my interview up with Ian Hill on the South Florida Tribune. So hope you can go to www.southfloridatribune.com and you'll see Ian Hill talk to myself and a few other people as we get ready for sneak peek. So great show tonight. Enjoyed everything that the crew always brings to the table. That's why we have a dream team here anyways. Am I going to brag about it? I don't have to brag. You guys are just simply good. All I'm the guy try to do is make sure I steer the ship properly. So on behalf of Jacob Christner, George Eichhorn, Denzel the Sniper, and JB Ellis, my name is Scott Morgan Roth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We will see you next week. Pundits, Pundit is tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.